Hi, Facebook friends. Helen Arcantu here, CEO of the YWCA of Northern New Jersey. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am so grateful that you're starting your week with us. Hope everyone had a restful and productive weekend. I know this is a busy time of year for everybody. So much going on, a lot good, a lot stressful, but the reality of it is, it's definitely a busy time of year. But it's a busy time of year, I'd say all the time. It's just different busy, as we know. And for those of us who are caregivers, there is a lot of juggling that goes with every time of year. As part of that, I can personally attest to this. I am the caregiver for my 92-year-old mother, and I feel so lucky that I can, play that role and do that for her, for us, for our family. But it can be stressful and can be overwhelming at times. And we know that sometimes people step into the role of being a caregiver without fully really even understanding what is coming, with that, with those responsibilities and the sacrifices that come with that, and how it's going to impact your life. Sometimes we don't really even, we don't have a lot of time to think about it. We kind of just get thrust into it sometimes because of, life and family circumstances. Other times we do have time to plan for it and make adjustments. But either way, when an aging loved one need help, someone does, hopefully there's someone that can rise to the occasion and do our best to support them. And whoever that is in that caregiver role, we know that it's, really important because it does extend our seniors' independence. It does delay long-term care placement, and it can really improve the health outcomes, the safety, and the quality of life for the loved one that you're stepping in to care for. But there's a lot that comes with it. And, sometimes we may even know that it's coming just because of the age of folks in our lives that we care for. And we have questions about what it would entail, just in case whether you can plan for it or whether it happens kind of quickly. Sometimes it's good to be able to step back and take a moment and think about it, and what it would all mean. And that's what we're here to do today. What do caregivers really do? How can we make a difference in the life of our loved one? And really, most importantly, how can we give them the support and resources that they need? And how can we balance all of that and still take care of the other responsibilities that we have in our life? Fortunately, we don't have to figure this out alone. We have a part of our YW family here with us today to help us talk it through, and not only talk it through, but give us some great news about a new program that the YW is launching that is focused on supporting caregivers. So there's more support and resources and conversation out there to come. So with that, I want to welcome back to YWTV our very own Sarah Hiller Bersson, who is a rock star and real leader unto her own in this space. She is the primary clinician at the Center for Purposeful Aging. And she has been working with the YW and helping us put together some support groups for our community, bringing her talent to the seniors that we work with and to the families that we work with. And so grateful that as we've been growing the program and talking, with the seniors in our community, she has helped us, and our, wonderful internal team has really acknowledged, where some other supports and resources are needed. And we've been able to create new opportunities for that. So we will be shortly launching an online YW support group that will lend support for families, partners, and other caregivers who would just like a safe place to spend some time to talk about the stresses, the challenges, and the rewards of caring for adults around us as they age, and also sharing resources and ways that we can be more impactful and more supportive and effective, in this role that, that many of us have stepped into. So with that, I just want to tell you all a little bit about Sarah. If you are not familiar with her, she is a licensed clinical social worker and has been working in the field of geriatrics with older adults for over 18 years. She is a psychotherapist, and as I mentioned, the founder and primary clinician of the Center for Purposeful Aging, a psychotherapy practice that facilitates individuals to achieve fulfillment and high quality of life through purposeful living and aging. She specializes in the themes of aging, loss of functioning, purpose, grief, caregiver stress. Her center offers individual psychotherapy, group therapy, interactive lectures, teletherapy via Zoom, and also telephone calls offered. I think that's one of the best and most important things about having someone like Sarah, who is just so such an expert in this space, is that she has tailored the work so that it really can meet the seniors where they're at, and what technology they have access to and what they're comfortable to, and really support them. And that is so important, that it's not a one size fits all program that out there. We have had the pleasure to work with her and partner with her on several senior wellness and support-based workshops. We have one going on right now that she's been leading for us called Becoming the Best Version of Yourself. And this is a growing population, virtual group that's live, helps really help folks live with purpose and passion. So Sarah, welcome so much. Thank you so much, and welcome for, again, and so grateful that you could join us and keep growing and supporting our evolving program as we really learn more about the needs of those that we're working with.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Helen. It's a pleasure to partner with YWCA. You've been so supportive of the community and identifying the needs and really offering the services that this community needs. You've been great at doing that, and I'm so blessed to partner with you. I really am.
Well, I have to say, as we've talked about it. I mean, obviously, I understand this space personally, and so it really has helped. I think, has helped us be able to figure out, from an organization perspective too, about really putting those resources and support, because I really do get the need that's out there, and it really is a growing need statistically.
Yes.
We've seen a shift and change. I mean, we went through this time of COVID where, prior to that, I mean, we didn't really think twice in some ways about, that there were all these facilities that we could put, family members in, but it got a little scary during this time. And it did make a lot of people rethink how to care for folks in their lives and maybe take on different roles than maybe they would have prior to that.
It's so important that you're identifying these kind of trends. We remember, when we were all growing up, that the trends was caregiving didn't last for more than 6 months. Caregiving was like kind of a intense, short-term kind of way to support the loved one that was ending their life, at the end of their lives. And now caregiving has become a real long-term chronic situation where, people are, thank God, their lives are extended, but they're sicker, and they have lower functioning, they have lower abilities, lower energy, lower strength. And then, that was the trend, for the past, let's say 30 years. And now with Corona, we have this, it really threw a wrench in everyone's plans, because it really did scare a lot of people. When you're having a loved one who has a delicate composition, or their health is somewhat compromised, to then expose them to a whole building that may have or is vulnerable to this disease that we knew so little about, that we knew so little of how to help people at first, was very scary, and people wanted to avoid that vulnerability. So they ended up, the caregivers, or taking people in, the caregiver population probably expanded. Although I would like to say, even though I want to acknowledge all the caregivers that have their loved ones in facilities, because there are still caregiving for them. They are still tending to them, not in the same way, in a different capacity, but they are very dedicated in terms of making sure that they're okay. So I want to acknowledge them too, and
yeah,
really
and look,
identify them as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of great programs. That actually not what I was saying. I was just saying though that it did make us think differently about, how to help family members, and if there were other options that we hadn't really thought about before. I think it kind of opened and changed, obviously, evolved thinking for sure. So let's see where to start with the conversation. I mean, what types of supports do caregivers really need, to be able to be really present for those that they're caring?
I think, I think family support's very important. Acknowledgement, chipping in to help. I also think, having a one-on-one kind of supportive psychotherapeutic relationship is very beneficial. In addition to a group uh, therapy that is also very beneficial. When people go into group, what really happens is other people will share their stories, and a caregiver will see what someone else is experiencing, and kind of it'll ring true to them, and they'll have all of their feelings validated through listening to someone else's experience. And it really is beneficial. So all of these things really are helpful. I also, when I work with my caregivers one-on-one, I often sometimes work with the ill person too. And I think, we came up with this kind of saying, caring for the caregiver, because the ill person can still be there to support the caregiver, in certain ways. And I think that's a really nice way of helping out the caregiver, having all family members, all loved ones, not just the people that have free time and lots of energy to be there for the caregiver. Everyone should be there for the caregiver, just like the caregiver is there for everyone.
Yes, yes. And so, I know we're going to talk about the group, that we're launching, but, I think one of the things that happens, right, is that, we kind of said this at the front of the conversation, is that, we step into these roles in different ways. I mean, sometimes it is a planned process, but sometimes it's just a really quick, response, an immediate situation that has, presented itself. Can you talk a little bit about that? And, just because, again, obviously we know eventually, we're all going to be in a situation that someone around us is going to need that kind of support. And we may, have to make some fast decisions if if you're not thinking about it in advance. And
right. It's always nice to plan, you're right, but sometimes you don't have that opportunity. And I think one of the most challenging parts is to not know what's going to happen, and to kind of make decisions that aren't necessarily well researched, or aren't necessarily well prepared for. And that's anxiety provoking. That really does produce a lot of worry, a lot of stress, because you don't know, the unknown. That's always what produces the anxiety. And so it's always helpful to reach out to professionals that are that are willing to share their resources. There's so many professionals out there, so many like social workers, non-for-profits, that are very resourceful, that could offer up a lot of assistance, a lot of direction, a lot of knowledge to help you plan for it. But sometimes when it's happening immediately, you don't know about those resources, and you don't know to ask for help. When you're planning for it, you kind of get to a point where you say to yourself, oh yes, now I'm gonna ask for help. So it has like an anxiety provoking kind of situation. But that's part of the stress, the caregiver stress that a lot of people are going through.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about this group. I mean, you've been working with us. Maybe, we could talk a little about what you've been doing and how it kind of evolved into this space, because, we've had really made such impact with the work that you are doing, with the community over this last year plus at this point. I mean, I know it's we've been doing this a while, but it kind of opened the door to this next piece.
Yeah. So what we've been working on is like a healthy minds kind of approach, with the idea that as we go through life, it's always important to be aware of what's going through our minds as well as what's on in our world. And if we approach this in a way that we're conscious of how we experience or how we think about things influences our mood, and how we experience life through our mood, through our perspective, which is influenced by our perspective. So for example, if you've had a bad day, you're like, oh, I've had a bad day. But really, if you think about it, you've been in a bad mood. Something ticked you off or triggered you, and you've produced emotions of, anger or irritability. And now you're in an irritable mood. And, you live your life with that mood. You lived your life. You use those lenses of the mood, or let's say it's an irritable mood. You use the lenses of irritability to kind of function. And so to be aware of this, to be very much aware of what's going through my head, to take your temperature, your mood, is very helpful in terms of getting the best out of life, experiencing life in this very positive way. And that's what we're here to do, really. I mean, why live an irritable life when you can live a good life? So that's what we've been working on. And I think everyone's kind of enjoying the process of developing this kind of awareness. And then when the YWCA team approached me about caregiver stress, I felt like that was really a great approach, a great way to address some of the needs that the caregivers are going through.
Yeah, I have to say, I love the approach that you've taken with the group that we've been doing all of this time, because it really is, it just comes from such a positive place and a reframe. Sometimes I think we end up spending so much time trying to just work on one little piece, but this is such a holistic kind of makeover, if you will. And I think it's so powerful, and it's also so empowering, which of course is clearly at the core of our work, since it's right there embedded in our mission. But it is so empowering to, especially that age group that, when, it is, sometimes as you get into, some of those, older years. I mean, I have to say, seniors has obviously, we know, has evolved and changed. We're living longer. We're living differently. People are working, some people, I should say, right, are working, at different stages and longer in life. But, when you get to a certain place, it does feel like, well, what's the point that you're living this long if there isn't some, what are you contributing? And that sometimes there is a narrative like that. So this is such a reframe around that. And I'm so appreciative that it helps people feel valued and valuable again.
Right. And we function on our self-worth. I mean, we have to function in order for us to feel contentment and fulfillment. We have to love ourselves. And if we don't identify the self-worth, if we can't identify how we're positively impacting our world, then we start to kind of have toxic thoughts about, well, what's the point of my existence? So we have to really reframe that and find the meaning. Everyone's life has meaning. Everyone has the ability to find purpose in this world. It's just a matter of, like you said, reframing. And so that's what we work on a lot. And it's a very exciting way of approaching this situation and this stage in life. I always tell people, you grow to your last day. And the whole idea is like, maybe you retired at 65, but you could be living another 30 years. Yeah. You might as well live a good life. Let's live a good life. Let's live a life of purpose. Let's live a life where we identify our lives having meaning. Right. Yes. And, even that's what I love about caregivers, because, they get so bogged down with all the details and all the to-dos. And we reframe that. And give them a big picture about, like, what a noble thing they're doing. It doesn't even occur to anyone as a caregiver to say, you know what, I'm doing the best that I can. And that's a good job. So I love that we have this opportunity to be there for each other, for us to kind of reframe what the caregivers are going through. Another thing about caregiving is I always approach it in terms of, like, are you living a balanced life? How much time are you giving to the person you're caring for in terms of, like, love and assistance and just coordination and logistics? And how much time are you giving to yourself? And that's key. If you're giving all your time to the caregiver and you're giving no time to yourself, how are you going to function? you're gonna become despondent in terms of like, what's the point of living? Like, what's the point of like doing this? Because I have no life. So we have to kind of reframe everything, focus on self-care for ourselves as a balance, and really move that kind of perspective to something more positive, to something more comfortable, to something more balanced.
Well, I love that. And I think too that the uniqueness of caregivers, right, is that they're also all different ages and juggling
Yes.
different things.
Yes.
Some of us are,
Mhm.
as we say, poster children for the sandwich generation, because we're
So,
raising littles and seniors simultaneously. And sometimes the seniors are more challenging than the littles, and sometimes the other way. But, it definitely is managing that piece of it. And sometimes, caregivers, like you said, I mean, you can create your own health issues and your own stressors, if you're really not managing,
mhm.
managing all that comes with it. So I love that this space is being created. So tell us about it for anyone who, whether it's so for those of you watching, whether this is for you, or think about those in your network that are
Mhm.
actively, stepped into this role for somebody, and please share this opportunity. Because it really has the potential to be transformative, for the experience. And as I said, Sarah's been so impactful in the groups that we've run, because she does reframe, this space for us in such a, next level way. So
Thank you.
what a great gift it would be for you all to share that this group is out there with someone in your life to help them.
So the group is going to be via Zoom. We're going to meet, but we all are going to meet twice a year also, or perhaps even more in person, but primarily it's going to be Zoom twice a month. It's going to start January 24th. It's going to be, I don't know, an hour or a bit more. The whole idea of the Zoom is it'll be theme based in terms of every day every class or every group session, we're going to be kind of focused on one topic. And then, I'll present a kind of certain approach or concept or perspective, and everyone's kind of going to share. I want this group to not be me talking. I want to hear what other people have to say. And then when someone comments, I want to hear what others have to say about their comment. I want it to be about them. They need a voice, because this group, caregivers, they don't have enough of a voice about what's going on. So it's going to be everyone together talking. And I have a lot of experience now after 2.5 years of Zoom. I run a great Zoom group, managing everyone talking and everything like that. And it really, you get from it, but you really walk away having your ideas, having your feelings been shared and validated, and also getting other people's ideas. A lot of caregiving, it's emotional, but there's a lot to juggle. There's a lot of logistics. If you could get a tip or two from certain people, and we always are sharing tips, that would be great. So I welcome everyone to join, and the more people, the better. The more tips, the more feelings being validated. I can't wait to start.
That's wonderful. And I love that, that it is Zoom. As much as I know that it's nice that the world has opened up more, the reality of it is, when you are a caregiver, finding time to go
Yes.
someplace else is challenging. And so being able to access this opportunity and be able to integrate it into, not having to add travel time in, is actually very generous and, welcome, and still knowing that there will be the opportunity to plan for some in-person contact as well.
Yeah,
Is
to meet in person has that extra special touch too, for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So the group itself is starting on January 24th, as we said, and running through May 30th. And it will be at 7 p.m. via Zoom, as Sarah shared. And is it something that people can drop in at any point? Do they have to start with us? Tell us a little bit about that for anyone.
I'm glad you said. I think we're going to have it open, so that people can drop in. We encourage people to come because and come on a regular basis, but everyone's open to dropping in. When you come on a regular basis, you get to know people. And part of this group is feeling a connection to someone else. And if you're just dropping in, you're not getting that connection. But if you're seeing everyone every other week, you get very familiar with them, and you really, you're feeling a connection, and that's really part of the therapeutic element of the group.
I love that. And that way too, those of you that are watching and you're going to help spread the word for us to your networks, just in case, they learn about it after the 24th, anyone can still join. And for those of you that don't know, thanks to the generous funding that we get through the County of Bergen, all of our senior wellness programs are offered free to Bergen County residents, which is amazing. And we're so grateful to them and, for that support. And again, making, really helping limit any barriers for accessibility to such great programming and such quality programming as well. Thanks to having Sarah work with us. So it is the holiday season. So before we leave each other, what's a tip you have to share with some caregivers, how to deal with the stress of the season and caregiving? Because as I said, it's always a busy time. I say there's never not a busy time, but it's different each month, right? And with what's in front of us, and it's definitely different right now with the holidays. No matter what you celebrate, so many of the celebrations converge in these 4 weeks of December somehow.
That's why it's so amazing. I love this. I love December. Yes, for sure. I would say, along with the lines of, you're always, a lot of caregivers, not everyone, but a lot of caregivers are doubting themselves. Am I doing enough? Am I doing a good job? I want you all to know you are. And I want you all to say that to yourselves. Our speech becomes our thoughts, and that becomes our emotions, our mood, and our perspective. So you need to say to yourself, I'm doing a really good job. I'm doing a noble job caring for someone that needs help. And, don't doubt yourself. Don't give yourself those negative thoughts, those negative criticisms, self-critics, right? Don't do that. Say, I'm doing a great job. And hopefully, like everything will work out. And it usually does, right? That's also like things work out usually. And to know that, you're doing a noble, great deed.
Well, that's such a gift to be able to embrace such a caring statement. So thank you for sharing that with us, Sarah. And let me also add to our caregivers that you're also not alone. The YW is here for you. This great opportunity for you to stay connected to, again, having expertise of Sarah leading the group and, others from the community who are, clearly everyone will have a different caregiving experience, but the piece that everyone will have in common is the caregiving. And there's a lot of overlap there, no matter how different the experience is, and definitely something to learn from somebody else and something that you can share, which also will help you feel empowered. So we do hope that if you are a caregiver, that you make the time to join. If you know someone in your life who is playing, is living with this role, encourage them to join. You can learn more about Sarah and her work and her Center for Purposeful Living. We have the links here for her website and for her social media, so you can stay connected to her. And also we have the link here so you can reach out to the YW and learn more about the group. We also have so many amazing senior wellness opportunities, including Sarah's other group that she does for us. We have a book group. We have wellness and nutrition seminars that run on a regular basis every month. And we also have our fitness classes that run almost every day of the week. There's something for you for anyone ages 60 plus. So, just get connected to our social media, get connected to our website, and then you'll be able to see the schedule and sign up really easily online and, go from there. So we wish everyone a wonderful day, a great week ahead. And Sarah, thank you so much for joining us for this new adventure. And
thank you so much for the opportunity. Happy holidays, everyone.
Yes. All right, everyone. Take care. Have a great day.
Bye.